All right, so we're here at my brother-in-law's house. He's got this sweet Toyota Land Cruiser. This thing is, I think, a 97 model. It's in super clean, good shape, but we're doing a stereo in it. We're gonna do some speakers in it. We've got to do some investigative work right now because these things inside, now, I mean, if you look at the interior, this thing is, he's had the seats redone. Dash is in really good shape. Just overall, super clean, well-preserved vehicle. I think his daughter's going to be driving this unit, but it's got speakers here. It's got speakers here in the back. We've got speakers in this door. There's a little subwoofer actually in the center console. Comes out right here. And so this thing was top of the line back in the day. And I said Land Cruiser. I guess it's the LX450 or whatever by Lexus. But we're doing a nice in-dash Bluetooth CarPlay unit, and we're going to upgrade the speakers in here too. But before we order speakers, we got to know what's in here. So we've got a short amount of time. Pull the door cards off, see what's back there, because these vehicles could have 4-inch speakers, could be 3.5-inch speakers, could be 4x6 because it's Toyota based. So we got to figure out what it is that we need to order, put in that order, and then we'll do the whole install, backup camera, and all that stuff at one time. So let's get into this install, well, uninstall right now.
Many months later.
So in this vintage of vehicle by Lexus, we have some speakers that are down here in the dash. These are like 2-inch tweeters, and they have little just, you know, bass blocker capacitors on them. And then they are linked with the woofer that's in the door. Now this woofer is just a 4-inch woofer, and what you can't see because the camera's not going to show it is the actual, you know, the surround is kind of completely deteriorated, and the cone is just hanging down like this much back behind there. But that is a 4-inch, and then what we have back here in the rear is a cute 3-inch. And so that is another aggressively small speaker. The other thing that we found was this subwoofer. And so the subwoofer actually sits here in the center console right here. It's a 4-inch subwoofer. So we've got a bunch of small speakers, and what we're gonna do is put this stuff in. So we've got a new head unit. This is the one he researched and wanted. So we picked that up. We've got a reverse camera to go along with it. And then we've got our front door speakers. So I'm not doing the 2-inch in the dash. You just can't find that. You'd have to custom make ABS panels and all that stuff. We're just going for inexpensive, get some sound in here. So we've got the 4-inch that are coaxial speakers. So that's going to be good. We've got some 3-inch, 3.5-inch woofers for the back doors, which should fit fine and give us some more mid-range and vocals. And then we also bought this cute little 4-inch aluminum cone mid-bass driver. So it's just a single driver, no no coaxial or anything like that. So this should get us some good audio, get us a backup camera, get us a new radio in the dash, get us our little subwoofer working. Now we got to see how this all engages and interacts with the factory amplifier, because factory amplifiers can be hit or miss in terms of their success. This new radio obviously is going to put out some great sound. The only thing I need that factory amp for is the subwoofer to get a signal to it. But this truck is 30 years old, 29, 20, whatever. It's about 30 years old. And so who knows how it works. So first thing I'm going to do anytime I do an installation, I'm going to walk you through this process that I do. It's past inspection, so I know that the headlights and the taillights and turn signals work, but we're just going to run through all the controls on the dash to make sure that they all work and do appropriate things, because we're going to get ready to just unplug about everything and get up into this car. We'll make sure the windows go up and down, don't make noises, all that stuff before you pull the doors apart. And I want to check and just see if I get noise in all 4 corners to allow me to know that at least the wires are going there and doing something. That way I'm going to go in and drop the speakers in first and see how they do, and then I'll go ahead and swap out the radio, because the radio has that reverse camera that's got to go all the way from the back up to the front, which means more things have to come apart. All right, enough talking. Let's go see. Do you see what I see? We've got a nice orange check engine light on there. And oh my gosh, it's too cold to have the air conditioner on, but hey, the air conditioner works. Yeah, check engine light, so that's gonna be good. This thing fires right up. It sounds great. It's the tank engine. I think it's the 1UZ engine that's in even the GX that I had previously. All right, so we're gonna test. I mean, this thing is just a Toyota with an L on it, but let's go lock and unlock. That sounds good. Windows. That one's a little sluggish over there, but it's running. Go fronts first. Passengers going up. Driver. Look at that guy. Come on, big guy, you can make it. All right, let's go back end. Down. These things go all the way down. Let's check the other one. All the way down. All the way up. Now, the sunroof controls are up here. I'm not going up there, so I'm gonna leave that stuff alone. I'm pretty sure I did the installation of this alarm at some point many, many years ago. So we got the wireless antenna up here for the alarm. Installation comes down this A-pillar, but yeah, I think that was a long time ago. In terms of this, hazards are working. The defroster's working. I don't know what those are. Let's turn on some lights and see if we can. Oh, the lights are on. Okay, so those bulbs are burned out. I don't know what that goes to. We evaluated that works. Let's go here. Okay, that's rear defrost, or that's rear. Oh, that's rear like venting stuff. Okay. We got cache and a charger cable. We're just gonna pull that out and set that there. We got this big old guy with multiple USBs. That's cool. We're gonna get rid of some of those. And shifter's here. We may or may not have to take it out, but I do want to evaluate, just because this has wood grain in it. I'm looking at the wood grain just to see what condition it's in. It's in really good shape. He knows already that he's missing this panel that's up here. Apparently it was like a business card holder, because that's what you had in the 90s. And look at this tape player. That's great. All right, let's kick it on and see, does it do anything? Oh yeah, we got some sounds. All right, let's go fade to the back. Left is working. Right's working. Let's go front. Those things are destroyed, but there's sound. Left. Yep, that's working. And the sub is, I can feel it trying to do things, but yeah, it's pretty cooked. All right, that's good. That is excellent news. The stuff is working, which means if I break it, it's on me. But we're not gonna break it, we're gonna do the right thing. We are gonna open this up, get me a little bit more light in here. Hey, that's awesome. But I gotta reposition this thing. I'm gonna put the scanner on it just to check and see what this this check engine light is. And then I'm gonna get to doing the rear doors first, because those should pop in and out. Then the front doors, and I am gonna disconnect, again, those 2-inch tweeters under the dash. And then the sub, the center console piece has to come out. I've already removed half the screws, but anyway, let's get to it. Now I'm coming down here and looking at this. This is, I think there's a clip that's supposed to be back here that seems not connected. Yeah, there's a clip. I'm touching it right now. Not in the door. So I want to get that reseated. This one seems like it's poking a little bit, like it went in kind of sideways. He's had some work done on some window regulators in the past, you know, year or two, I guess. And he said it was just kind of a guy, general mechanic guy. So we're going to see if we can kind of tighten that stuff up, make sure that this door stays in really good shape. These door cards look amazing. And Toyota really has a nice streamlined approach to it anyway. So anyway, we're going to, just pull our panel popper, start hunting around here. I like using these plastic ones. I used to use metal all the time, but metal obviously can scratch the paint depending on how aggressive you are. So we're going to go with the plastic one, just kind of pry it up and try and go around easy. You can just kind of get in here and go sideways until you hit something, like right there. And you know that now I've got a pin that's going to be right next to it. And I can kind of come in and start to work the door card up to get it, you know, get it popped out and hopefully not broken. But I'm going to take a little bit of time. I'm going to set you guys off to the side, show you once I got that and this whole thing apart. Also, you know, just we got more wood grain on here. There may be or may not be a screw back here. There's a back piece that kind of attaches in and comes down here. And so I may end up having to take that out, but that screw that was back there may be the only one. So we got a there, possibly here, and then the rest of it's just clips because this thing's flat up against the door. All right, well, this thing's on fire apparently. Sirens. Anyway, we popped this little guy off. In case you're watching this from an education perspective, it's got 3 little clips that pop in there, and then behind it were 2 big screws, one on either side. There is a push pin right up here, so we got that one taken care of, and this thing's getting ready to pop off now. I'm gonna put you down and then take it off. There's actually like almost like a little weather stripping back here that I can feel, but let's do that real quick. All right, that's pretty good. So we've got a little bit of this, it's elephant snot that I was feeling that holds on the weather stripping here. If you ever wonder why these things are called door cards, because they actually were like, this is just a thin piece of like 1/8 inch hardboard. Nowadays they're all plastic, but this is just 1/8 inch hardboard. You got a couple kind of pieces screwed into place. You got a little light holder and then your clips. The clips look like they're in pretty good shape. This one over here obviously has been replaced, and that's why that's the one that was bumping out. It's too long, so I might see if I can look in my stock and replace that. There's also one here that's clearly been broken off, and that's been missing, but the other 2 above it, I guess, are holding things in pretty tight. Oh, here we go. We've got one still left here and one down here. So we're going to get those out. We'll try and repiece it together. But look at this little speaker, man. This thing is just tiny. I got to figure out how I integrate with this. So I'm going to pull this out and then take it back to the tailgate and kind of look at the speakers that we're putting in. Now, when I look back here, look how close that window regulator is. That thing is only 1 inch back in the back. So the way that this works, if you come here, is this little case bolts into the door, and then around that in the back you've got 1 screw hole, and that screw hole has a screw that goes here into the back of the speaker. So that's how the speaker gets held into this unit here. And then if you look at a speaker just from an education perspective, the wire on the right is always the positive, the one on the left is the negative. And so I clipped and left a little bit of wire on here so I know which color is positive, which color is negative. But I'm going to pull out my speakers and see what I can do here. That's the 4 inch. I think we're going 3 inch. I got 4 inch and 3.5. All right, we're going to have to see if these are actually going to fit. I was just kind of 1, 2, 3. All right, we're gonna hope that they fit. They're definitely not 4-inch though. All right, quick little catch up here. We're still on speaker 1. It's been about 20 minutes. What we decided to do was take first that thing. Take this little surround off of the magnet. So it, on the new speaker, it's set around the magnet. It's making it too wide to fit into this little factory hole. So taking that off freed up just enough space that it wedges tight into this little holder, which is great. I did have to drill a little bit, so I measured the factory depth and measured the factory depth, found the drill bit that I needed, went ahead and grabbed the tap, found the thread that I needed, and tapped it. So now this thing is tight in the magnet hole. The factory screw goes into the speaker, and you can see it actually sits in there really nice. It fits in nice. I wish that it took up the entire space, but I don't think we're going to get that, just because we've got difference of speakers and surrounds and exteriors. So the goal is to get some good sound that's not a broken, destroyed cone, and I think this is going to do it for us. I am going to still test these 4-inch speakers. I'm just going to place one in there since I got this apart, see if that fits any better, because if so, I will end up just, I don't know, holding on to these and buying another pair of those or something like that. So a little bit more research to do, but that's where I'm at right now, and then I'll let you know what ends up going into this door. All right, speaker number 1 installed. So we've got this guy in. I just tested the sound. It sounds comparable to the other one on the other side, even though the other one's rattling because, well, the surround's gone. This is a 4-inch hole, and I went ahead and peeked at the 4-inch speakers that I have here, these Memphis Audio ones. The magnet is just bigger than the stock magnet, so there's no hope of getting it to sit in there because you can't screw down around the rim. So I was looking for something that might seal better, like the 4-inch speaker, but you've got to use the hole in the back. And if I had to cut out that plastic piece to fit the magnet in there, then I got nothing to attach it to. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep moving forward with those 3.5s. It's going to be a great sound, and we've got another one coming up next on the other side. So that's where I'm headed next. Grab that one, rinse and repeat, and we'll keep on rolling. I'm going to keep this door card off until I complete the other door over there, and then I'll put everything back together once I know that everything is sounding pretty good. All right, passenger door done super fast now that I had a process for it. That thing's back together. These things sound amazing. I turned the bass up just to see what they would do. These things were like kind of bumping a little bit. It sounded kind of nice. But I went ahead here and we've got all these clips back around. There was a yellow one that was down here. I took that out and I just kind of rearranged clips a little bit. I did find one extra one that I had in my box, so I went ahead and put that down here. So the door outside of this one, which is pretty broken up, the rest of the door is going to hold in tight, which is going to be really nice, and that'll be a nice little addition. In terms of the grill has these 3 little clips that stick in. It was missing 2 of them. One of them I found in the factory door, and you can see where somebody put like some silicone trying to get these things to hold back in tight. The other one on the other side was actually glued onto the door, so I didn't even worry about pulling that off. This one was kind of half hanging off, so I'm gonna try and get the door on, get it situated, and then see if I can get that grill to seat on there pretty nice and firm. We're hoping, since I'm still using the same stock stuff, and I made sure these new little feet are out of the way of those little holes.
A few moments later.
I was looking at this door really quick as I was getting ready to pull it apart. I went ahead and popped this guy off. I can pull these 2 screws out back here. Same thing, there's going to be a screw back here, and then I've got to take this cover off. You may or may not be able to see it, but whoever did that window regulator, this has got a little crack in it. So just kind of documenting what I see, things that I see. Obviously these grills are dented in a little bit, and that's because somebody was trying to push into stuff. Pro tip, man, when you're pushing these doors back in, I mean, this thing this thing is half off right now, but we're going to try and find some clips for it. And but when you're pushing these doors back in, find the pin and just push over top of the pin. A little tap will do, but these pins, they're not like those long things that you got to get like all the ribs pushed in. They're just little pops that pop out. All right, now we're getting into a little bit more customization. So here was the speaker. Well, there's the cone that went with the speaker here. And when you look at it, it's actually like a 6-inch opening from top to bottom. And so obviously it's upside down and backwards, but it fits right in there nice and tight. The challenge is that you've only got 1.5 inches of clearance before you hit this window frame, the window regulator runner. Luckily it's plastic, which is nice, but you don't want to impinge the window. So we've only got 1.5 inches of depth from here, from the mounting surface till we get back there. So I looked in my stock of stuff that I've got laying around, because the speakers I bought were 4-inch, and the 4-inch is not going to seal up anywhere. I thought about cutting this out and using the metal plate and then attaching something to it. What I found in my basement is that I had these old Scosche speaker adapters. I think these are for Jeeps, but today they're for a Lexus. And I found these, which are some 5.25-inch Pioneer speakers, brand new, perfect. And when I looked at it, these 5.25s fit really nice into these. These are designed to either hold, they're designed to put a 5.5-inch speaker into a 6 or 6.5-inch space. So those are going to be perfect, but then they were too big. If you go like this and you take this thing, you stick it over top. Now this is hanging over. So what I did is I actually mounted this with 2 screws into my first one. As you can see, I've cut all the bits and pieces off. So now I've got an adapter which should shim this out just enough that these 5.25-inch speakers, come on, should be able to fit in there and space. They're about 1/4 inch too deep to fit in there, like right to the metal. So we're going to see how this works. I'll let you know afterwards in case I embarrass myself. All right, lunch break, a little fighting with some things. We got it put in. We found a solution here. She's nice and tight in there. We've got that spacer, plus there's an extra piece that came off the face of the actual factory speaker that I'm using as a spacer in here as well. It kind of fits down in between. It gives us just enough distance that this is not pushing up against that window track in the back. So I tested it. We've got a couple vibrations, but it's actually just this plastic vibrating in the door, and that's just annoying and not going to be fixed. And so we're going to put the door card back on, move to the next side.
was only half the story. I'm Dr. Brittany Bott, host of Hidden History. Every Monday, I go where history gets mysterious. Vanished civilizations, doomsday prophecies, paranormal phenomena, and events that science still can't fully explain. On Hidden History, I treat these moments like...
All right, so we're doing pretty good right now. We've got all 4 door speakers done. We've got this under dash, that 2-inch tweeter is unhooked. I still have to do the one on the other side, but I'm kind of starting to take the sub apart as well. This thing's got a factory cell phone connection. You see that right there? For you young kids, that's a telephone cable size. It's got 4 pins in it. It kind of beeps when you turn the car on. So he said if we want to, if we get in there and we can find it, we can just disconnect it and have it not turn on anymore. So we'll see what we can do. But we've got to pull this console up. And to do that, we've got to take this shroud up. So I don't think we got to take the whole thing off. It just overlaps like right here at the rim. So I've got these 2 screws off. I got to go to the other side, start taking screws off. And I've cleaned everything up on both sides. So while I'm over there, I'm going to go ahead and take care of that under dash speaker. That side will be done. And then we can also just kind of focus on that subwoofer now. Welcome back. It is a cold and rainy May day and day 2 on this Lexus truck. Yesterday we got a bunch accomplished. We got all of the door speakers handled, kind of configured, customized, put in place. We checked that all the doors go up and down. I've got a little rattle on the driver front door, so I think I've got to take that card back off, see why it's rattling. Maybe I can put a little rubber gasket in there. I just got to see what's going on. I don't know if it's the plastic vapor barrier, weather stripping, or if it's the speaker install. We'll find out. But it wasn't rattling until I put the door on, and so it may just be something inherent in there. But I hate rattles. Nobody wants to have a stereo installed and then have rattles. So it's not quite to my standard yet. We're going to go back in there. But we've got the subwoofer to work with, as well as the radio and the reverse camera. So that's kind of the goal for the day. Get this truck wrapped up. I was thinking back to when I used to work in the shop. And in the shop, they allocated 1 hour per set of speakers and 2 hours for a head unit. Obviously, if you had backup camera or other things like that, it would be a little bit longer. But you saw what it took. I mean, it's a little bit more customizing to get this thing done. You don't really know the size of the speakers. Now, when I was at the shop, we just had obviously a rack of speakers, and I went a couple weeks ago and guessed without pulling the doors completely off at what sizes were in there, and using some kind of redneck engineering to figure that out. And nothing on the internet tells me exactly the right size speakers, although somebody like Crutchfield did tell me the front door speakers are 6.5 inch. What it doesn't tell you is that you've only got 1.5 inch depth, which is impossible to find something. Nobody knows about the center console subwoofer and all that stuff. So let's talk about what we're going to do with the subwoofer first, and then we'll come around to the head unit in a little bit, because subwoofer, priority number 1 today. Now this subwoofer, which actually still sounds pretty good, it's not ragged out too much, but it's just a paper cone. It's got the foam surround, which is deteriorating with age, and so that's just going to cause some challenges with sound quality. But this is a Pioneer 5-inch woofer. It's a 2 ohm resistance. Guess what you can't find anything of today? A 5-inch woofer that's 2 ohms. Now, there is no constraint. This is a little enclosure. I mean, this is a cute little enclosure. It's got foam padding in it that you may or may not be able to see. That's not a rat's nest. That's just foam padding. And it's got a little rubber surround to kind of help, keep it from vibrating and stuff. Anyway, really well built. It is a little sub enclosure, and it does add a bunch of low end sound up here to the cabin to help round out these aggressively small speakers that are in the doors. So I want to keep it, but what I don't want to do, if we look at the surround here, I don't want to put a 5 1/4 inch. You can get a 5 1/4 inch woofer, but that means I would have to kind of trim this thing out, cut this thing out. Let me pull this foam out real quick. Well, anyway, this is just ABS plastic, but I don't want to trim that out a little bit to fit a 5 1/4. While it wouldn't be too much, it is going to be more, and I'm worried about kind of the reveal up here and at the bottom because that is pretty tight. Instead, I've got a different solution, which is that the 4-inch woofer I bought is actually a true like subwoofer. It's got a nice polymer surround on it, a nice plastic cone, and that thing is going to fit in here really nice. I just have to make a little plate to go on top of this. So I think what I'm going to do, it's got these little nubs for centering the speaker. I'm going to grind those off. I'm going to cut a small piece of ABS plastic that I have. I'll put a rubber gasket underneath it. I'll seal it on here with some screws, and then I'll cut the hole for the 4-inch woofer to sit in there. Now I'm going to test the sound first with the cables, but that's the approach. Let's get to work with the ABS and the woofer to go boom boom or bing bing. Man, that thing is cruising. Now, I haven't put the ABS in there. I just plugged it in just to see what it would do, because that's a 4-ohm woofer instead of a 2-ohm woofer. But man, it's got plenty of potential to it. A lot of great sound. So this thing's going to work out great. I just got to tidy things up with that ABS plastic. Let's get to work with that. So this is the ABS plastic. It comes kind of corrugated in a way, lined. So all you have to do is score it with a razor blade a handful of times, 3-4 times, and then you can break it. I did go ahead and kind of sand, or I used a file on the edges here, rounded the corners a little bit, but my fitment is super good, kind of one-shot wonder there. So I'm pleased with that. Now what I got to do, I've got one little opening over here, like a little bumper that I'm not going to take off. There was this outside shroud piece that kind of locked into that. I'm not going to use this, but I'm just kind of keeping that as a gauge for where the console sits down on it. So my next step to do is to actually take this, figure out the hole for the woofer. And luckily it came with a foam gasket, so I can use that as a template. I can use that, and then I'll cut this out with a Dremel tool. It's going to make a bunch of a mess, so I'm not going to do it on camera, but I'm going to come back with a hole cut out. I'm going to favor the hole to that side, to this side over here, so that I've got an opportunity to get a screw in on each corner and not have the woofer really close to this plastic that we're putting on there. I'd like to have some strength in here. Then I'll put a little bit of either glue or some speaker box carpet on the back end of this, maybe even just some thin foam, something as a gasket to kind of seal it onto this box. But we'll get 4 screws in each corner, and then we'll have the woofer that bolts in with its 4 screws, keeping it nice and tight. All right, so we got our hole cut, test fitted. It should be tight. May have to get a little bit out. Yeah, so there's a little bit of lip still on that side. So what I can do is just kind of open this up a touch. So I used a Sharpie, and I just Sharpied, and then I stayed just on the inside of that line. It's pretty good. But again, I mean, we've got some jagged edges in here, all those things, this big bump right here, those are going to hold it down. That's where I started and ended, which is always going to have a bump. So I'm going to hit this a little bit more with the Dremel, clean it up. We'll refine it some, kind of going off to this side just a touch, keeping it away from this side. Dry fit it, clean it up with a little bit of sandpaper, and then we'll get it in the truck. Well, she is really pouring down the rains right now. But I didn't forget. I went inside to find some gasket material. And I was reminded as soon as I walked all the way down to my basement why I keep old bike tubes. So everything relates about bikes. This whole truck install, I haven't told you that yet, relates to a mountain bike bartering job that my brother-in-law had a mountain bike that was his wife's, that she was either upgrading or something, I don't know exactly. So she and my wife were about the same size. He said, listen, I'll give you the bike if you are willing to do a stereo in the Lexus. So that's bike relatability number one to this car job. Number two, we're going to use some old bike tube as gasket material. So let's set you guys down here. And we'll get this bike tube action here. We're going to cut it with a razor blade. Gasket, and we're going to end up filleting this thing because look, I really only need a little bit there, and I'm going to end up gluing this on, so I'll use some I'll probably use some epoxy. I got some JB Weld or some epoxy or something, but I'll end up using it on this to kind of glue it down because this is so perforated on the back side. If I just spray it with Super 77, it is not going to stick that well. Anyway, let's fillet this and not my finger. Okay, so we've got the plate here with the gasket glued on, screwed in. I used all the existing hardware from the subwoofer with those holes. I've got my own screws that I'm going to use here. I have pre-drilled this one, and this one because they did, in fact, kind of impact or fall in line with some of this initial plastic back here. But that's fine because it is just extra stuff that's going to hold it down tight. We already tested the speaker, and we know it booms or baps, or give me a little of that boom, bap, boom, boom, bap. Need to definitely put the gasket on. That's what I want to do. So let's take that back off. Let's seat this gasket around it first. It's not going to make a big difference, but listen, man, rattles in these old trucks are serious business, and we don't want our stuff offering to the rattles. So let's go ahead and get this thing in here. Got to get the one screw jobby in first. Let's see if I can do it this way. Let's find this one. Like somebody in your life taught you at some point, always pre-seat all the screws before tightening things down. 1, 2, 3. We'll take this one out. Put the actual screw in there. Let's fire it up. See what kind of copyright music's on. All right, that is sweet. I don't hear any rattles. Obviously, we got to get the center console back on, but man, that thing is tight and booming for a little 4-inch sub. All right, let's get this thing back together. We can get onto the radio and finish this business up. All right, so we got the radio pulled out, the factory radio pulled out. I went ahead and got the brackets on the side of the new one. I've got the harness here. This is the harness going to the truck, which has some RCA cables as connectors, which is great because it has the factory amplifier in it, which is going to take a signal to the subwoofer. That means that in the radio here, I no longer need any of these wires that are going from the new radio to just speaker outputs, front left, front right, back left, back right. So that means all I've got is power, ground, accessory, and then my remote turn on. The remote turn on is feeding both the amplifier. Well, the battery just died, but wherever I was here, we don't need the speaker wires. We've just got a remote turn on. We do have a reverse in, which is going to be helpful to turn things on. We've got a speed in, we're not going to use that. We've also got illumination, so I might try and find illumination in the dash. There's plenty of little light bulbs back there and other things that turn on when the headlights turn on. So I'll find a wire there. And then this one is parking brake. Parking brake is right accessible in the center console. But I just tested this. I plugged it in, I turned it on, I faded front, back, left, right, did all the things. The stereo is working great and sounds good. So the next thing is just running wires, because we've got to get all these extra things along with, what do we have here? We've got a hands-free mic, which I got to figure out where that's going to go. We've got a GPS antenna, which is going to go somewhere on the dashboard to plug in. So there's a variety of things, plus that backup camera that has a cable runs the whole length of the truck and is going to come right up into this yellow input. So we've got a variety of things to run. We've got a bit of work to do. I think I'm just going to go heads down and then show you what I did. All right, quick update here. We've been fighting with some cables, wrangling some cables. A second ago, you saw that we went ahead and tested the radio. I've pulled these cables up into here. So what I've got is camera, I've got GPS antenna, and something else over here. Hands-free calling, the microphone, that's right. So we've got all those that are kind of just up here waiting to go. If we look up here, hands-free calling is just gonna be perched there. We've got GPS antenna temporarily just kind of hanging out up here, and then we'll use this double-sided tape to tape it down. And I've got the camera wire coming down here. Right now it's going to run the length of the carpet line, but it's all tagged up. It's all kind of gone and disappeared up in here. So I'm going to put this back on the shroud underneath to kind of cover this up here, and then I'm going to run my camera all the way back, and only once the camera is back there and connected will I then test the radio. And then after I test it all and work it, then I'll put it together from the front to the back and just tidy everything up and get it looking good. So we're making big progress. Well, yeah, let's keep going. All right, so we're back here at the tailgate. I found some grommets downstairs in my basement. Went ahead and measured the actual part in the middle to figure out how big of a hole I needed so that this could seal up in the metal. Found some drill bits, and we've got an extra hole that we've added down in there. And I've got my blue little, that's string trimmer line. I still need to tidy it up a little bit, but I've got that coming through all the way because I've got another hole on the actual, up by the lights that come through, the tail lights for the license plate. Anyway, so that's coming all the way through, which is good because we got to get the wires from the license plate into this cavity, so then we can run them down through this factory grommet into the truck. I do have to, yes, move all of this stuff to get this little trim piece up, to get the carpet up, but my cables right now are at the back seat, which is great. So they're actually like right there. And whether they run under the carpet and come over or along the side and then over and through. Anyway, we've got enough wire that I can go ahead and start fishing this through. I'll leave about 4 inches in here in case they remove the license plate, but that's the next thing to do is kind of clean all this stuff up and then get my wires to a spot where I can get to the grommet and I've got a fish line and all this stuff is moved. All right, it's been quite some time. We've had rain, no rain, rain, no rain, but a little update. I took this whole light assembly out trying to find a way to fish wires through. In the end, what I did is I went ahead and drilled another hole, put a grommet in it, and we are going to be connected. I still have to clean all this stuff up, but remember I said I was going to test, and so I went ahead and tested everything up here now in the dash. We've got the radio all situated, all locked in. Still gotta put the ashtray back in, but I just finished testing all of the buttons, all the switches. She's working great. Reverse camera is working great. So anytime you toss it in reverse, guess what happens? That's right, the camera comes up on the screen. Also, went ahead and hooked up the parking light. I just grabbed parking light off of one of these two switches up here, and that signal goes right into the illumination input, which is great. So auto dim, then they've got the capability to set any settings they want. Also went ahead up here, locked in my GPS antenna. So that is just perched right there. And it's not only tight, like right in the space there, but it's also sticky taped down, which is what comes with it. So this whole front end is good. I'm working my way back. I'm gonna do the center console next just to lock that in. And then I'll work my way to the back and then finish up. I still got a little rattle in this front driver door. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. So I'm gonna come back and pull that card off. I wanted to deliver this tonight. It's still plenty of time to get it done, but we'll see what that time looks like between getting all the stuff in the back put back together and all that stuff. Anyway, the good part is like the door trim and the side doors, that's all done. The back seat is still in. I didn't have to pull that out or anything. So it's just a bunch of bolts here for the center console, and then we'll get back to that taillight back in the back. Whoo! Long 2 days. All right, got the truck all wrapped up. I took apart that driver door, the front driver door, found that it was just some loose stuff on the inside, and one of the the door card has a little spot in it that might have been vibrating, but there was some loose plastic all around, so I taped that up as good as I could, got it resituated, tested it before I put the door on, tested it after I put the door on. All said and done, this thing is ready to go. So what we did in here, front door speaker on each side, rear door speaker on each side. We've got a little subwoofer in the center console. We did disconnect the little 2-inch tweeters that are under the dash on each side. Went ahead and put in the head unit, which has hands-free calling with the microphone, GPS, and a backup camera, which runs all the way to the back. And so this thing now, I'm gonna kick it on. We got the antenna that goes up. Now that antenna does have a switch up here that you can determine. You can determine whether you want the antenna up or down with this. So that still all works fine. But we got the radio up here, which is good. Functional, if I put it in reverse, we get our backup camera, which I've aimed so you can even see the trailer hitch, as well as everything out back. A lot of lines there, but that's what it comes with. Back here, we go back to normal. So anyway, that wraps up this video. Thanks for watching this long. If you found something educational, give it a thumbs up. Give it a thumbs up just for the effort. I started giving every video I watch a thumbs up, regardless of whether I like it or not. The effort that goes into making a video is quite tremendous. Editing, all that stuff, capturing, thinking about what I'm gonna put into it. Anyway, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Got more car content, and biking season is up. And now that I'm back in town, I was out of town all this past week. Now that I'm back in town, we'll be racing some more. Anyway, that's it. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.